Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag. Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag.
All right. Welcome to Sportsbites. We are the self-proclaimed #1 podcast for your hot takes on everything sports and snack related. I am Randall Horn.
I'm Don Schro.
Joined tonight by my brother, my man, John Schro. So, first podcast, we tried a couple of them, getting some stuff worked out. First official podcast tonight.
They're excited.
Absolutely. Well, Donnie, I'm glad you're here. Glad to have you here on the show. No one I would like to start this thing off more than my brother.
Yes, sir.
My buddy right here. Got a lot to talk about tonight, but I know we've got one big subject that we're going to probably spend a good amount of time on because I know you and myself kind of hits us a little bit hard being fans of that certain team.
Hits home for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. But got to start with the snacks. Wouldn't be Sports Bites without the snacks.
The snacks.
Tonight we're first one. We went a little bit posh on the snacks tonight, man. A little high end stuff. Tonight we're gonna be doing Lindor milk chocolate truffles. Irresistibly smooth milk chocolate truffles. I'd like to add that I am endorsed by none of these companies. These are honest reviews. Lindor milk chocolate truffles by the Lindt Company. I believe they're
delicious.
Swiss. Let's see, Master Swiss chocolatier since 1845. Well, bro,
Get it started right.
let's get this thing going.
Oh, give me another one 'cause I missed. Usually got good hands.
It's all right. I'm sure I'll find that while I'm working out or something, and then use it as an excuse to eat it. All right, let's see
Started
here.
off right, huh?
Lindor chocolate. Here we go. Let's see what we got.
Very smooth.
Crunchy shell. Oh.
Good little sweet treat.
Oh. That, what is that? Chocolate ganache in the middle?
Ganache.
Oh.
Potato, yeah.
Okay. I can dig that. Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Those are dangerous.
Yeah, man, I can only have one. I'll eat the whole bag.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, $15 a bag or something like that, like, I shouldn't eat more than one, but damn.
Yeah.
That's,
Around the holidays, you tend to gain a few pounds of chocolate.
yeah. Well, I can dig it. Oh, well, that's, good to get the chocolate and caffeine going, because we got a good topic to be fired up about tonight.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, known you your whole life, always been a big sports fan, played sports, watched sports.
Mm-hmm.
We live and breathe sports a lot.
Whole life.
I got to ask, Donnie, how'd you feel? How'd you feel about Sunday? The FSU snuff, man. I feel like watching WWE back in the day, like the what they call it, the Montreal screw job on Bret Hart. I feel like that's what FSU just had happen to them. Like,
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I even wore my Florida State sweater to church. I was all excited. Everybody was giving me props and saying, you guys are about to go. And then find out right when about church ended that we got snubbed by Texas and Alabama, which was unbelievable to me.
So, here's let's start off like this. Did you think we were in? Did you wholeheartedly think we were into this thing? We had it locked?
Honestly,
Because I did. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dude, undefeated season, Power 5 conference champion.
yes.
I was like, there is absolutely no way under the sun that a college football playoff committee can snub a Power 5 team that's undefeated. I don't care how many people are hurt.
Right.
And honestly, even if they're going to play the Jordan Travis card, maybe if Jordan Travis gets hurt during the ACC championship, maybe And even then, I've got issues with that too. But I can see that. But to lose Jordan Travis the week of North Alabama, Tate comes in, and again, it's North Alabama. He comes in and blows it up after that. Our running game is still on fire. Our defense comes through. Mm-hmm. Tate comes in, plays what I would feel like is a great game for a second stringer against our rival Florida. Is their record great? No. Their record wasn't the best, but it is a rivalry with Florida. Florida State and Florida in the swamp. That is one of the hardcorest rivalries in all of NCAA in my eyes. Right. And no matter if I don't care if either team is a one-win team, that team is going to bring it in that rivalry every single time, every single year. So to me, for that to be, looked at like, oh, Florida wasn't that great, you played in the swamp, but no, that rivalry, both teams bring it every single time we play. That's how it is. So to me, for them to actually say like, oh, well, that game didn't really matter near as much because Florida really wasn't, dude. Florida fought hard. We fought hard. Tate played good. We came through it in the end. How do you feel about, making it through the swamp, coming away with the victory, and then a Louisville team that, let's be honest here, Louisville was no slouch.
Top 20 offense, top 25 defense.
Exactly. And, was it a low-scoring game? Absolutely. But our defense came through and showed what they were truly made of.
Played the best game of the year, except for the LSU game at the beginning.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, we've both watched football almost our whole lives pretty much. What's the old adage about football? What is it about defenses? I can't quite remember. Defenses win championships.
Always.
So when your defense comes through...
And run game.
How do you snub a team when their defense is playing at an elite level, which personally, and I don't care, all y'all people watching this, I hope everybody's going to watch this and have a great time, but I'm going to be the first one to tell you right now. Out of the 4 teams that are in the college football playoff right now, every single one of those teams would have had a hard time against Florida State's defense. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee Florida State would have wiped the floor with all of them. You just can't guarantee that. But I'm going to tell you right now, the elite level that our defense has been playing, especially since Jordan Travis went out, I don't care, Michigan, Washington, Texas, or Alabama, all 4 of those teams would have had a very hard time matching up with Florida State's defense. Tell me your feelings on it, Donnie. Let's hear it, dude. I know you've been waiting for this moment. Let's hear it.
I 100% agree, and I like the confidence in your words, and I'm going to try to keep the energy going here. So pretty much I thought it was unbelievable that we got snubbed for one, and it was insane to me because we were, I think, only favored by 1.5 points in that game, and still everyone on ESPN, all kinds of analysts were saying there's no way they beat Louisville. They're just too tough a team. Rodemaker's out. They're playing a guy that hasn't even had any snaps, and I think his whole career as a freshman, so he's coming in to a very hostile environment, very tough game.
You talking about Brock Glenn? Brock
yes,
Glenn.
Sir.
So Brock Glenn, if I'm not mistaken, is either 4 or 5 total collegiate snaps before that game.
Okay.
And on that same note, imagine being Brock Glenn. You're a true freshman. You're a third-string quarterback. You have limited time with this team. And I don't know how soon they told him, but the way it looked on TV was Tate was getting ready. He was dressed out on the field ready to go.
Right.
Can you imagine a guy like that an hour before the game, and all of a sudden coach is like, hey, hot potato, you're the guy tonight for the ACC championship against a ranked opponent for your first collegiate start. Can you imagine the mindset that you have to have for that?
And he did have some jitters at the beginning, but I think the coach drew up a really good offense just in case Rodemaker wasn't going to play, so we ran a lot of Wildcat, a lot of I-form, a lot of run plays just to get Benson and Toafili going.
Toafili on some of those Wildcats was
man, they were unbelievable. We have a fantastic goal line, fantastic defense. They had the top 10 graded players in the conference championship weekend, and Florida State had 3 of the top 10. Jared Verse, Bernardo Green, and Azarath Thomas, 2 cornerbacks and our DNs, and they played unbelievable all year, and they get punished for playing a great game with a third-string quarterback still pulling it off, and then we would have had Rodemaker back because he passed concussion protocol right before that game, so they were just kind of saving him because they thought, we could get past Louisville, we'll be in, and we'll have a healthy team going forward. But it was just heartbreaking, man. Everything about it was heartbreaking.
And so, in an odd comparison, this is kind of how I was looking at it the day that that the selection was made, was the moment it was made, and I'm looking at everything, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, they were saying Florida State, they didn't go hard enough against this team, this Louisville team.
We didn't win by enough points. Yeah.
And then,
10 points.
they bring up the Michigan game. And this was my thing about it. Like, did Michigan win by more? Yes. Did they shut Iowa out? Yes. Let's be honest here. Iowa has no offense.
The only reason they were in that championship was because there was two sides of the conference.
Exactly.
And none of the teams on their side of the conference were any good. All the teams on Michigan's side were good. Ohio State,
Penn State,
everybody.
Yeah.
So,
So here's my thing. They won, 26-0, I think, against Iowa.
6-0.
So they get the shutout. But let's remember something. Iowa's got a pretty good defense. Louisville still had a great defense.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Sure.
We won by 10 points, 16-10 against Louisville in the ACC championship. Michigan won 26-0, but that means Michigan only put up 26 points. Every starter in.
Right.
Every starter in.
Yeah, nobody sitting out for them.
So to me, I'm like, how do you truly put a comparison on that with, they're number one because they beat a team that realistically does not have all the weapons to be a conference champion, but they got in because of their half being, not as equally strong as the other side. They get in on that, basically a technicality, to play Michigan. Michigan shuts them out. I get it. But they do all this with their starters, and they still only put up 26 points. Now, 26 points is a commendable amount. But what the College Football Committee, in my eyes, is talking about is when it comes down to these things, they want to see 30, 40, 50-point blowouts to show that you established your dominance on these teams. First off, how many times have you heard other teams, coaches getting pissed when, you're up by 30-some points and you're still running the score up? College football, if that's what you want in college football, then you need to make it clear that that's what you expect out of these teams so that you don't have coaches and stuff getting pissed because you're running the score up. Well, I have to run the score up because if I don't run the score up against you guys, the College Football Committee might hold it against my team for not blowing you guys, your asses out of the water over this. That is one thing that's really irked me since then is I'm like, they say it's all about quality wins, but what defines a quality win? What truly defines that? Is it beating the absolute shit out of somebody on the field?
Right.
Completely just dismantling them? Like, is that what it really is? Or is it playing a complete game, being good sport, showing good sportsmanship, putting the points up, showing good defense, good offense, good special teams? To me, that's what a complete game is. Right. And Florida State did that. We did that against Louisville.
I think wins and losses matter the most in any sports as far as getting to a championship. So that should have been the most important thing in the committee's eyes, not how great the teams were. And even then, we played with our third-string quarterback. What people don't realize is when you play with the third-string quarterback, if Michigan played with the third-string quarterback against Iowa, they would be drawing up nothing but blitz plays because they would be running the ball a majority of the time. The quarterback has no experience in the offense. So they're going to call primarily run plays no matter what. And even if they do call pass plays, it's going to be short little dump-offs. He's not going to be throwing it deep. They're not going to be taking any risks. So the fact that Louisville blitzed the entire game that I watched, almost every play, sending an extra rusher every play.
Glenn was under pressure most of that game.
I mean, you take an Iowa team and you take McCarthy out and you take their second-string quarterback out with injury as well and put their third-string quarterback in and see if Iowa doesn't do the same thing. And I guarantee that game is different.
Yep.
Because McCarthy let him down the field. Corum scores the short touchdowns. That's how they've done it all year. But the fact that we got through the gauntlet, we surprised everybody. We proved everyone wrong. We didn't have any losses. Just kills me on the inside to be a fan of a team that was the first team, a Power 5 team that won a Power 5 conference championship with a third-string quarterback in the playoffs to get snubbed, the first undefeated team ever in the playoffs. So the fact that they're going to 12 next year, I'm happy about, but at the same time, I'm still very salty about this one. It just wasn't fair to me in any way. I don't care what analysts say. I don't care what people on ESPN that make buku money say, that were never athletes. They were never on the field. They never have that experience of winning a championship, of going undefeated. Because when I was in high school and college and growing up watching the game, when you go undefeated, you usually play for a championship or at least get a shot, especially if you're a better conference than most. And ACC is one of the strongest conference. Yeah, SEC probably is the strongest conference, but, you know, and ACC is a Power 5 conference, and we won against a great Louisville team.
And to me,
nothing got thought about.
The snub of this thing, and we're gonna kick this door open now. We're really gonna delve into it because I've got a lot of things that I want us to go over, and there's gonna be some things that some fans of the SEC are really not gonna like to hear. There's gonna be some things that if anybody in the College Football Committee ever saw this, which no one in the College Football Committee will probably ever watch this podcast, but if they ever did, they're really not going to like the things that I'm about to say, because everything that I'm about to say is 100% true. You can look it up online. You can look all of this information up and find it. It's all true fact. We're going to start off by the number one thing. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go ahead and start this thing off, get the ball rolling in the right direction, and say I believe that the College Football Playoff Committee, there is 100% corruption in this committee favoring conferences due to money.
Sure.
And let me explain. After looking some things up, so here we go. So Alabama beats Georgia. Alabama ranked, eight when they beat Georgia. Georgia number 1 in the country.
Correct.
Alabama beats Georgia. Boom. As of that moment, it's looking like Florida State makes it in. There's a good possibility that for the first time ever since college football playoffs have been a thing, there will not be an SEC team representing the SEC in the college football playoffs.
Right.
So, the snub happens, and somehow Alabama makes it in. Now, I'm not saying that Alabama doesn't have a pedigree to go to the playoffs. What I'm saying is Alabama didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. You had an ACC team that was undefeated and deserving of the shot. Would they have won it? Maybe, maybe not. But you cannot say they're not going to get a shot because we don't believe that they can do it. That is an unfair opinion, first off. Second off, let's talk here. Let's talk about the SEC and the money that it would cost the SEC to not have a team represented in the college football playoffs. Mm-hmm. The SEC network is owned by ESPN. It is a joint venture between the Walt Disney Company, and Disney controls 80% interest of this.
Interesting.
I just find that fact so funny because all I hear between those companies, the SEC network, ESPN and Disney, all I hear is money. Money, 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 money. And I can think of how much money those companies could lose by not having a team from that conference represented in this playoff. To me, whether it is or isn't, I'm calling it out right now. There's 100% corruption over that. I guarantee you somewhere along the lines, money exchanged or money being lost possibly by not being there had a huge contributing factor to whether or not they were going to select an SEC team to go in and basically select one over FSU. It still kind of boggles me because you still have the possibility of getting that SEC team in and still bringing Florida State in. You could still, to me, Texas and Alabama, I think that was the word around the country was Texas, Alabama. It felt like most people thought FSU's in. It's going to be Texas, Alabama. Who's going to make it in between Texas and Alabama?
I just think Alabama beat a Georgia team that was ranked number 1 for almost 3 years straight. They won 29 straight games. And their win over Georgia, I think, is more important than Texas's win over Bama. So that's why I thought Bama would probably sneak in. But I did not agree with the Texas.
But let's talk about Texas for a second, because you brought up some really good points while we were talking earlier. Let's talk about Texas for a second. Let's talk about Texas's record and their schedule. Let's talk about them getting in.
Yeah. So Texas, they of course beat Bama at the beginning of the year, and then Bama had a QB controversy after that game because I guess 34-24 against Texas, who is a playoff team now, who the committee thinks is one of the best teams now. Alabama had a QB controversy after that game and benched Jalen Milroe against UCF, won 17-3 in non-convincing fashion, barely got past the UCF team. And then all of a sudden, Saban says, I believe in this guy. We're going with him going forward. And he goes bonkers for the rest of the year. I think they deserved a spot. Texas, however, they lost to a Oklahoma team. All right? That was a great game. It was one of the best games of the year. All right? It came down to the last second. Gabriel hit a touchdown the last second of the game. Oklahoma won, stunned the Texas crowd. Okay? You got to look at Oklahoma's ranking. Okay? They're at number 12. Okay? They lost to a Oklahoma State team. Okay? An Oklahoma State team that lost to South Alabama and the same UCF team I was talking about that took Bama to a 17-3 game. They lost to both of those teams. And then they play Texas in the championship game. Texas blows them out like they were supposed to do, like they were projected to do, and all of a sudden the whole world thinks that win is so important that it jumps them from 7-3 above a undefeated team that also won a Power 5 conference championship that, in my opinion, Louisville would destroy Oklahoma State in a head-to-head matchup if I were to put the two teams together. Just because I think Louisville has overall more talent. They had a lot of juniors and seniors, just like we did. They were very heartbroken at the end of that game. I saw a lot of tears because a lot of those guys were going to go to the NFL next year. They don't have another shot.
Absolutely.
And they played their hearts out. They played a tough game. You know, they win that one, they could get to a great BCS bowl game. But, you know, we won, and at the end of the day, we deserved a shot over Texas. In my opinion, Texas getting in made 0 sense to me because of the fact that they beat an Oklahoma State team that lost to two very terrible teams this year. And if you want to go with wins and losses and stats and all that stuff, you need to look at that.
Well, they treated that Texas-Oklahoma State win, they treated that like it was a top 4 win.
They thought
like
Oklahoma
they treated
State
that
was
like
just,
that was like Bama beating Georgia, and it was not. It wasn't even close to that.
They were one of the worst defenses statistically in the country. They just scored a lot of points, and they had an upset win against Oklahoma to keep their ranking. If they don't get that upset win against Oklahoma, they're not even ranked.
Well, I'll tell you now.
That's the only reason Oklahoma wasn't in the championship game. I don't think they get past Oklahoma if Texas has to play them again.
Yeah.
So, you know, they got lucky, in my opinion. Very lucky.
On that same note, like, you know, they talked about strength of schedule. It was all about the strength of schedule. Florida State. Let's go over one thing real quick. Florida State had the most wins against bowl-eligible Power 5 teams in the nation. You can say, oh, they had the 55th ranked strength of schedule. The most wins against bowl-eligible Power 5 teams. Teams can beat up FCS teams all season long if they want to, and they can beat their normal divisional games as well. Most of those teams in a division, unless you're, you know, on an up year where you have 4 or 5 teams on one side that are all killing it with great rosters, which is possible now with the, you know, the NIL, the transfer portal. It's possible that you can have that many powerhouse teams, but that one always keeps getting me the last couple of days is them talking about the strength of schedule kept Florida State out. Strength of schedule. Dude, Florida State did not have a lax schedule at all this year. And on top of that, Florida State is in the ACC, which is a Power 5 conference. You cannot control how good the other teams in your conference are. You can't do that. No. You can't control how the other teams practice. You can't control how they're coached. You can't control how good they play. You can't control the team that you're about to play. Believe me, if you could, you'd want every team to be ranked that you play, especially if you thought you had a shot against them, and if they're guaranteed in-conference games. Hell yeah. I would love every one of the teams on our side of the ACC to be top 25 when we play them. Definitely. Because then there's no question about it. But even then, that's a skewed stat.
Right.
Oh, they're top 25. Okay, they're top 25 this week. What are they going to be in 2 weeks when another team plays them? Well, is that win the same merit as it was 2 weeks ago? It's the same team. They're playing the same way. How do you compare those things? That's one thing that's really pissed me off about it is, you know, they act like the ACC, they want to say it's a Power 5 conference, but then they act like it's not a Power 5 conference. Either it is or it isn't.
Yeah.
Either you treat those teams as Power 5 teams or you don't. And to me, they want to put the label on it Because let's be honest here, the Pac is gone.
Yep.
The ACC has got teams coming in, but they want to talk about how weak the ACC is, and talk about how we're the lowest of the Power 5. Okay, so then stop treating us like the Power 5. But you can't. You know why? Because you just lost the Power 5 conference. You can't lose 2.
Exactly.
You can't run NCAA football. You cannot run FBS football with 3 power conferences and the rest of the conferences don't friggin' matter.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
And all this conference switching and all this different new aspects of college football that's going on, I don't agree with any of it. They should have just kept it the way it was, kept the conferences the same. Because now you have teams that
West
are
Coast
all the way,
teams on the Atlantic Coast
West
Conference.
Coast teams, the Atlantic Coast Conference. They got to travel all the way across the country each game. I mean, people don't take that into account. Their athletes having to travel that many miles to get to their games and then play a game on top of that. You know, that takes a toll on the athletes too, especially the young guys. But man, it just tore me up for Justin Travis, Jordan Travis. Sorry about that. Jordan Travis. I really was watching a lot of different interviews with him, and obviously the video of them getting snubbed. He was just heartbroken, and
Keep going. I'll be right back.
yeah, he just, I don't know how to say it. He just has like this passion for a team that I've never seen in a player for a long time, maybe since Jameis Winston for Florida State. And he literally stayed at Florida State this year to go for a national championship because a lot of his teammates from last year, where we barely lost a few games, we didn't do as well as we should have, and we had a great year, but we came up just short of our goal. And this year, he stayed to make that happen. And even the last 3 games really, because Rodemaker led us against South Alabama and against Florida, of course, and then Brock Glenn led us against Louisville. Just the hearts of our players to get through all those games, even though our best player on our team is hurt, and you know we're doing it for him. We did that for him. All those wins, all that heart in those games, we did it for him, and to still come up short, it blows my mind, and I really want to see some kind of repercussions. I really want to hear somebody from the committee really what they had to say about it, their true opinion, and see,
Let me ask you, as you're saying that, let me ask you this. Do you believe, with the head of the committee, do you believe what he said about why Alabama was chosen and Florida State was snubbed? Do you believe that that's truly what the committee felt, or do you believe there's something more to it?
No, I believe what he said, and what he said was correct. Alabama did enough the latter part of the year against great teams and against Georgia to get in my opinion. Texas, however, I did not agree with, and especially, you put Texas above Alabama in the rankings just because they have a head-to-head victory. Okay, Alabama beat a Georgia team who hadn't lost in, like I said, almost 3 years, 29 straight games, and I feel like that win was a little bit better in my opinion. So even though they had a head-to-head victory, if you want to put it in perspective, Alabama should be number 3 and Texas should be number 4, having to play Michigan, because now Bama slides in. They have to play the hardest team, in my opinion, in the playoffs, and that's going to be a tough game. And then, Texas slides in against Washington, who's a very strong team. They beat an Oregon team twice this year, and they proved a lot of teams wrong, but I feel like they're a very beatable team still in Washington, and I've seen some defensive lapses. They've gotten very fortunate in the end of the last few games. They finished it out, though, just like we did, and they got their shot. But, that's a very winnable game, in my opinion, for Texas compared to the game against Michigan, where they have a way better defense and a very good offense as well. So, yeah, that's just my opinion on everything. It's just
and the last thing I want on this podcast is to get into politics and political, but I will say this. Early word today, Ron DeSantis, and there are some other high-level Florida lawmakers that are looking at filing lawsuit, not to change the committee's their choices, because the choice is done. We're out. There's no way around it. We can argue it till we're blue in the face, but we are out. We have been snubbed this year, and there's no going back to that. Mm-hmm. But I am hearing lawsuits to subpoena the College Football Playoff Committee for emails, phone calls, and for, I guess, documents from the meetings to go over the possibility of corruption and choosing. Like, this is where we're at, though. Like, this is college football. That's crazy, isn't it? Like, that it's become so much about money, like the possibility even of corruption, keeping kids who have played their hearts out to get there and snubbing them from the chance at a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity possibly for some of these guys to maybe play for in the playoffs and to maybe go to a national title game, to possibly snub them out with the possibility that it's corruption for money. Is that not crazy? Like, yeah. I know the NIL paying players, I don't really agree with it. I haven't really agreed with let's open the door and let's pay kids buku money. Seeing players talking about they make more in college than they would with their rookie contracts and pros, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Do I think kids should be paid to play college football? Yes. I think it should be a standard amount, something that pays the kids to eat, to maybe not have to work a full-time job while they're in college, and to pay for the room and board and books and those sorts of things. It should pay for that. If you're paying kids, $1,000 a semester or a couple $1,000s a semester to provide for those things, let's be honest here. These schools in these big conferences, they're making money off these kids that are playing football. They are making tons of money off of them.
For sure. Game's changed.
I mean, you look at Texas's coaching contracts, at Jimbo's contract that they just bought him out of. That's insane. They threw that money away like it was a drop in the bucket. Yeah. That, to me, is crazy. That's just insane. But I will say this. So, I can't wait to see if that subpoena really happens, and they really do. I cannot wait to see if they truly, honestly chose them, and that was the reason for choosing them, or if they find out that there was something else under the table that was going on. Throw my little conspiracy in here for it. If there was something under the table going on that they were worried about how much the SEC would stand to lose, because if the SEC and these big companies lose money, do they lose money too? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to harp on the FSU thing all night. I know it's the big thing this week. I will say this. One of our guys, I know we had a lot of games we watched with him. He was a great quarterback for Florida State. I know we really loved watching him. We don't get to see him as much now, but he is a great analyst. EJ Manuel came out. I know we were talking about this earlier. I love EJ. Not only was he a good player, EJ, super smart guy. Very, very knowledgeable guy, not just in the game itself, but in everything. I have to say, man, watching his interview not his interview, but where they were talking about FSU and the decision that was made, and he brought up a point that hit so hard. And I was like, above everything, above the stats, above the possible corruption, above the money, above, strength of schedules and injuries and all that, he brought up the one most crucial point that I've heard so far, is that for these guys who've been playing football their entire lives, one of the things that is ingrained in you the moment you start playing football is you learn. Your coaches drive it into you that you are not the only person on that field. You are not the only player on this team. Nope. There is 11 guys on offense and 11 guys on defense and your special teams, and you're all a team. You all matter on that field. You all have an assignment, and you all have a job to do. And that's how you win, is when everyone goes out there and executes, when everyone does the best job that they can. And the College Football Playoff Committee, when he said it, they have basically gone and said, Florida State, the only player that mattered on your team was Jordan Travis. Yep. Let's forget about your three-headed monster of a running game. Let's forget about your elite-level defense right now, and let's go solely on the fact that the only player that we truly care about on your team is Jordan Travis. He's the only one that mattered, and the fact that he's hurt, you guys are not going to get the opportunity to play for a playoff position and for a possible national title bid. That is absolutely the College Football Playoff Committee should be absolutely fucking ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
They should absolutely be ashamed of themselves. I'm going to tell you now, I don't know how they could sleep at night after doing something like that to a team that truly deserved it. I know there's a lot of naysayers out there, but there's just as many people that are saying Florida State should have made it in. We're in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia. A lot of Tech fans around here, a lot of UVA fans, a lot of ACC fans around here, and the unanimous thing I keep hearing from all these ACC fans is they didn't do it to Florida State. They did this to the entire ACC. It makes the entire conference look bad. It makes every team out there look like what they're fighting for is not worth it. And to me, that is the most disgusting thing that I've heard in so long in college football, that you can do that to not just a team and snub them, but something that will affect an entire conference. Yeah. A Power 5 conference. I don't know how these people can sleep at night making a decision like that over one player when this is a game of teams. This is a game of brothers. Everyone goes out on that field with the same goal in mind. They fight together. They win together. They win as a team. They lose as a team. This is not a good decision that was made. This is not a fair decision that was made. And I truly hope that deep down something comes of this. Maybe not this year, obviously. Something comes of the future. Thing I've been talking to people about this today about it is it time that we take the human element out? Is it time that we let an AI programming take over the decisions of this? They look at your stats, they look at your record, they look at your strength of schedule, they look at your injuries, they look at everything, and you let a computer make a logical decision, not influenced by money, not influenced by power conferences, not influenced by anything other than who is the most powerhouse deserving team to be in the playoff 4, which isn't going to matter. It'll be the playoff 12, but even then, even with 12 teams, I still think you take the human element out of it, and you bring in an AI to kind of determine. I mean, AI does so many things in sports. AI is what creates our NFL schedules. AI creates so much about all kinds of sports. Baseball, we're going to end up going to robo-umps before it's all over because it's hard to go against logic. And I think that the decision that was made is illogical. The decision that was made against Florida State is an illogical decision, and I feel as though if it was left to something that went strictly off of logic, Florida State would be in the top 4 playing for a playoff spot and possible national title bid.
I completely agree, and I like the emotion in your statement, and I'm gonna carry on with that. And I got 2 heavy points I want to go on. And first one is, I've been watching sports for a long time, and both of us have. We are both Florida State fans. We're both Eagles fans. We're both Braves fans. And that's just how it is. And we've watched our teams for years and years. And there's been a lot of heartbreak. Obviously last year was the Eagles Super Bowl. Great game. One of the best games I've ever watched. We barely lose at the end. One play decides it all. I feel like we were the better team, obviously. But, it happened. And, I got over that. I was able to overcome that as a sports fan. As a Braves fan, the last 2 years, getting wiped by the Phillies, the same way both years, I was able to get over that.
Losing Freddie to the Dodgers.
Yeah, losing Freddie to the Dodgers. I was very hurt about that for a long time. And then Olsen.
Freddie, we still love you, bro. We still love you.
Cheered me up a lot. Thank God, this past year. But just this one really hits home, and it's really gonna be sickening to me for a long time. It's gonna be something that really sticks with me. And I've watched sports forever. Like I said, I've been an athlete. I've been a sports fan. I've been so just passionate about the game. No matter if it's basketball, football, baseball, just very passionate about sports. And this one is just going to hurt for a really long time. And I'm not going to be able to forget the fact that one of my favorite teams got snubbed for going undefeated, winning a conference championship, and I'm not going to be able to see them at least have a shot at winning the national championship. Okay, we lose in the semifinals. Okay, everybody says we deserve to not be in there. Okay, whatever. I don't think it would have happened. And even if somebody did beat us, it would have been a great game. But this one really hits home for me, and it's not something I'm going to be able to forget for a very long time. And as far as the committee goes, I'm I'm kind of glad that they're stretching it to 12 games so they won't be as pressured next year to make the right decision. Hopefully they put the best 12 teams in, and it won't matter about the rankings and everything. They'll just put the best 12 teams in, and hopefully we'll be a part of that. But just this year was the year, in my opinion, for us, and we had a team full of juniors and seniors, including Travis, and a lot of guys on defense, a lot of guys on offense, our O-line, D-line, DBs, linebackers, running backs, everyone. We had such growth and chemistry between the team, and we still don't get looked at in that opinion. And this is what I wanted to talk about real quick, my second point. You take Michael Penix Jr. off an undefeated Washington team. You take J.J. McCarthy off an undefeated Michigan team. They get hurt at the end of their conference championship games. Do you snub them because they lost their best player on their team? They lost their starting quarterback. There's no way they can win in the playoffs. What if that happened? Would the committee have done the same thing? No, they would have left them in.
Yeah,
they would have left them in because they deserve to go, no matter what. The team deserves it, and we did not deserve that as a team to be 5th ranked to end the year 13-0. Go into a conference championship game with a third-string quarterback and still prevail. Prove everybody wrong. Just what do we have to do? What do you have to do to win a championship in this day and age? It's insane to me, and just
fund the college.
We'll see what
college
happens
football
going forward.
committee.
We'll see what happens.
Throw little greenbacks at them to see what happens with that.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break for just a moment,
Short
and
break.
we'll be right back with some more Sports Bites.
See his hat.
All right, and we are back.
And we're going live.
Pretty tough topic, first half of this program. That's a pretty big topic for us. Let's catch our breath. Let's move on to a couple other things. Yeah, find our zen. What's Bad Boys we always watch? Woo-sa. Woo-sa.
Let's go woo-saw something. His little ear.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the NFL. It was an up and down weekend. Give me some hot takes.
A lot of good teams. I really was surprised at Green Bay against Kansas City. First of all, I was surprised that Kansas City and Green Bay got the Sunday night cap over the Philly-San Fran game, which was one of the biggest games of the year in my opinion, but we'll talk about that later.
I hate to say it, but at the end of it,
I think it was a good idea, honestly.
worked out.
At the end of the day, I thought about it. Yeah, it was probably good that happened. But I really was intrigued by that game. Jordan Love did very well. There was a lot of tight throws that he made to Watson and Dobbs and Jaden Reed. Just really good performance by them. And they were showing a few of his touchdowns. His foot came off the ground each time, and they were showing like Favre and Rodgers next to him because obviously Favre taught Rodgers a lot of his throw and a lot of mechanics, and he played behind him for 3 years. And then Jordan Love obviously played behind Rodgers, so he learned some of his mechanics that he learned from Favre. So I think he's starting to pick him up and do very well. So that was kind of biggest take I had on the weekend. I was kind of happy that the Chiefs lost as well, even though we got spanked by the Niners. That was one good thing. But
give me some
what about
takeaways.
you?
Give me some takeaways on the Niners.
Takeaways on the Niners?
To me,
I was afraid you were going to say that.
To me, I'm like, and I know,
they're unbelievable.
We've got our sports betting thing that we do, on the side. I know you don't agree with all the stuff I bet on. I said last week, I truly believe the Eagles are a great team. I love our team. We bleed green around here. I truly believe, and Eagles fans everywhere are going to fucking hate me for saying this, I truly believe that the Eagles are... Hang on. All right. Sorry about that. Oh, technical difficulty. So as I was saying, Eagles fans won't like this. I love our Eagles. We bleed green around here. I called the Eagles last week losing to the Niners. And to be 100% honest with you, God, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but as an honest football fan, my call wasn't just that we were going to lose to the Niners.
I said that we would lose to the Niners and the Cowboys this weekend, and then we get back on track after this weekend, and we win out the season. We head into the playoffs strong. Let's be honest here. Cowboys are not a slouch team.
No, they're not. They've been playing very well.
They're very strong. The thing that we have going for us is they tend to be strong till the playoffs. Will this year be different? Maybe. I hope not. I mean, I think it's no question that there's no love lost for the Cowboys in this house. But that was my call. I would love nothing more than to see us go into Dallas mad over the Niners game.
Yeah,
but
sure.
The Niners are an elite team, and it would not surprise me in the least if the Niners made it all the way to the show and even won. They have every angle that I could think that you would want on a team.
I think they have 11 All-Pros.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let me name them. We got McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, Purdy will probably make All-Pro this year. Trent Williams, Greenlaw, Ward.
There's a lot of them.
I mean, yeah. Ayuk. You could put Ayuk in there. He's having a stellar season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every single guy on that team is benefiting from each other because they're just playing such good team ball. Yeah, they had a few hiccups there, but they got it together quick, and they obviously beat a really good team in our Eagles, and they did it in convincing fashion. I feel like to begin that game, we looked pretty powerful on defense. I think it was in the second quarter with 7 minutes left was their first score, and it was a diving catch by Ayuk on 3rd and goal. So I mean, it was we were playing
not an easy
fantastic.
walk-in, yeah.
We were playing fantastic, and I thought it was going to stay close going forward. Our first 2 drives were very short field goals. We could have easily executed and got touchdowns out of those, in my opinion. I feel like you have to do that against good teams. I know points are important, but I feel like you have to go for touchdowns against good teams. And then the biggest point in the game, in my opinion, was down 28-13, 4th and 2 on our own side. I think it was our own 31. And usually, that's something Sirianni risk it to get the biscuit. We're down big. We got to go for it. Continue the drive. At least get down 1 possession, not 2. We give the ball back after San Fran had scored 4 straight touchdown drives, and they scored a 5th straight and a 6th straight after that. So that was a bit of a bad call, in my opinion, from the coach. He hasn't had many this year. He's been a fantastic coach the last 2 years. He's been one of my favorite guys to watch, especially on the sidelines, and just how he leads that team, keeps the energy going, and just keeps the passion through all his athletes, and just he's really close with everybody, and he's just the epitome of a great coach. And I think the strength of schedule that we've had the last 5 games. I mean, we went Dallas had a really close game, then we had a bye week, then we go to Kansas City, squeak out a win at the very end because Valdez-Scantling dropped that big ball. Then Buffalo in overtime, that was a huge win. And we're playing these really tough teams, and what people don't realize is these guys aren't robots. They're getting hit every play by really good teams, on defense and offense. And we played 3 good teams in a row, then a 4th good team in a row in San Fran. Yes, we got whooped, but our bodies were probably very tired from the last 3 weeks, I'd say, just because of how much into it we had to put. Every starter had to play every minute of every game, and especially with this game going forward against Dallas, it'll be the 5th in a row where I think the same thing will have to happen for us to win. And
well, it's easy to forget that these guys are human beings. Like, it's easy to forget. Mm-hmm. You see them on the biggest stage. You see them making amazing catches and amazing tackles and huge throws and all these crazy plays, and it makes it so easy to forget these are just people. Like, they're athletic. Right. They're super amazing athletes, but they're still people, man. People get hurt. People get banged up. People, they lose energy, man. Like, people, it's hard to maintain that all the way through a season without
healthy,
exactly.
No injuries.
So, let me ask you this. As dominant as San Fran looked, what does it take to beat the San Francisco 49ers right now with a fully healthy team? What does it take to beat the San Francisco 49ers?
I think our first half game plan, we did very well. I mean, we were limiting them to big plays. And, I mean, they had a few down the stretch, like a few to Kittle. But really, we were limiting them a lot. And just keeping their offense off the field. I think that was the main thing in the first few quarters. Jalen and the Eagles were on the field, I think, 75% of the time, and we were keeping that offense off the field. They can't score if they're not on the field. I feel like that's a big thing next time, and to execute those touchdowns instead of getting those field goals, those 29, 32-yard field goals. That's something that we could have probably went for on fourth down and at least had an opportunity to score more, especially against that good team. Like I said, you have to put up points, and if you have those opportunities early, you have to take advantage of them, or else they'll make you pay at the end, and that's exactly what they did. And they made our defense stay on the field a lot in the second half, and we just got really tired, a lot of missed tackles, a lot of just scrappiness, a lot of shit-talking, obviously, just from, the pregame and last year, and just everything led up to that. But I don't feel like we're done in any way. I feel like we'll definitely probably see them again in the championship again if we make it that far. And I think we'll have something to say, especially if we can clinch home field. But we got 5 games left. Everybody has to stay healthy. We have to keep focused. We have to, we gotta let that game.
Control our own
you gotta
destiny,
let that
man.
game go. That's one weekend, one game. You gotta think about Dallas this weekend. You can't let the past judge the next few games for us. You have to forget.
Definitely.
And I think Jalen Hurts is the epitome of a leader, and he doesn't let anything affect him. I think when Jake Elliott hit that 59-yard field goal against Buffalo, they showed Jalen Hurts and Jason Kelsey, 2 of the leaders on the team, their emotions on the sideline, and they were literally just stone-faced.
Yeah,
they were like,
stone cold, man.
In their mind, they're probably going crazy, but they don't show their emotions. They're very calm, cool, and collected, and they're very balanced athletes. And in the locker room, on the field, off the field, they're complete players. And I think he's going to overcome this for sure, and he'll have something to say by the end of the year.
Well, obviously I hope we beat the Cowboys. I hope we go all the way.
We beat the Cowboys again. That'll be a statement. We'll have 2 big wins over them.
The
I don't
East
think
is
many
ours.
people will be talking about
if
them.
we beat the Cowboys again, the East is ours. I mean, that's the first step towards it. Is you got to win the East to get to get. You don't have to, but we need to. We want to have that dominance. And to have that dominance, you have to win the East to move on to the next thing. Let's switch gears for a second. I know it's hard to bring it in during the off season. Couple topics real quick. MLB. Let's talk about Shohei. The mystery still remains. What's Shohei going to do? Where's he going to go? Who's going to make him the offer? I know our Braves are still part of the running to look at Shohei. Tell me what your thoughts on Shohei are, and tell me who you think truly could go after a player like that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if we got him. Obviously, that's an incredible athlete, and I talked about it to you on the break. They compare this guy to Babe Ruth. He's one of the only pitcher and hitters that plays full time every day. And
I like the statement you made earlier. I hadn't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, and it's actually a Sandlot statement because I've watched that movie so many times.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth was less than a god, more than a man, and that's a true statement. That's a very true statement. He was one of my favorite players growing up, especially as a kid, and I just did so much homework on him. I always did all my school projects and reports and anything I could on him because I was so passionate about his game, and I was so intrigued at what he did as a player, and all the wins he had as a pitcher, and then he set records. Obviously, I mean, he was the best hitter of all time except Henry Aaron as far as home runs, but I feel like overall hitter, he was still the best hitter of all time. I mean, he called his own shots. He was just unbelievable. But this guy compares to him in that way because he does both things. Unfortunately, he had that injury to end the year. But I feel like if we still got him and we played him at DH and we did the right things, we obviously have really great coaches and really great training staff to help him get better. And I feel like if we were able to get him somehow for a lot of draft picks and a few of our players that we're able to give away, and he was able to hit in that DH spot, so we don't have to worry about it at all this year. And have that powerful team that we still have along with him, I feel like we'll be a force. I mean,
well, let me ask you this. So they say, the early word out is that he wanted a long contract.
He wants to be on a championship team.
His agent came out and said he is willing to sign a short 2-year contract, but it would have to be for an absolutely ungodly amount of money.
Like $100 million a year.
And to me, personally, that no matter how you spin it, there's no way you can put that number on him because, one, you don't know if his UCL injury affects his longevity for his career.
Long term.
And also, you're buying a DH in 2024. You're not getting a pitcher in 2024. You're buying a DH. Does that DH spot, will it affect his UCL healing to make him a good pitcher in 2025? Will that have an effect on everything? That's something that I feel like teams, to me, as much as I hate to say it, because I like Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
I like Shohei Ohtani, man.
Fun to watch.
Absolutely. He's electric, man. He's electric. Yeah. But to me, for a team to pay what they're looking for, I feel like that team, you almost have to it almost has to be a team just reeking of desperation. A team that's willing to sacrifice everything they have for one player because it's going to cost everything they have for one player. I mean, what the first I saw was something like 500 or 560 million over 10 years or something like that. That's an insane risk. Like the risk involved for a guy coming off of it.
Look at Tatis.
Off of UCL.
You never know what's going to happen off these big deals.
You don't. And honestly, I mean, he could come through and he could be an all-star. I mean, look at Ronald. I was the biggest naysayer in the world there for a while because through 2022, he had a hard time coming back from his injury, and I was like, he does not look the same. I don't know if he's going to heal it out. You, Mr.
Torn my ACL 3 times.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mr. $1 Million Knee over there, you know more than anybody how hard it is to heal out, and that's what you kept telling me. It takes time to heal that injury out all the way, and he's trying to play through it. I didn't have faith in it, and look, Ronald's going to be on the Braves for quite some time, and
I think he just won MVP.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he won MVP and broke some records along the way. All the Braves,
probably that'll never be broken.
A lot of Braves broke that record, which I will say for again all you naysayers who want to talk about, they can thank the MLB for changing the rules. Ronald could thank them for breaking that record. If I'm not mistaken, every other Major League Baseball player had the same opportunities to break that record this year as well.
Yeah, all of them.
So, yeah, you can say what you want to about the rule. 40-70, never forget.
I think 40-80 at the end, right?
Nah.
40-70?
I want to say 73. I want to say 73 was the final. But either way, he hit 40-70. I think you're right. I don't know if that will ever be beaten.
No, not even by him.
While we're talking about Ronald, little news coming out of, I believe it was out of Venezuela. Ronald getting injured a couple nights ago.
Didn't hear about this.
Yeah, so he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was playing in an actual game. He was drilled with a fastball, hit his hand, came off. I haven't seen the report about an injury, if it did anything. I know I saw the video where he was on the side. They were checking him out. He was moving his hand, but I've broken fingers before. I know that you can move your fingers and stuff after you break it. It takes a little time for that swelling and trauma to set in before you realize how bad it is. I haven't gotten any updates or anything about it. I wouldn't think it's anything serious, but my question to you is this. Major League Baseball, probably the highest paying sport out there. Teams sacrifice so much money for these players, and you've got players playing in the off season for other countries. You've got players who die hard, have to be in the World Baseball Classic. What are your thoughts on these high-level, high-contracted players getting the opportunity to go play somewhere else, but the risk that's going to be involved with that? Does the reward outweigh the risk on that? Or is it more of a pride thing that you think that they just have to be a part of the game? They love the game so much they have to be a part of the game. To me, I think that's with Ronald. I think Ronald loves the game. He has to be a part of it.
Well, I first I'll say most likely I didn't keep up with that game, but most of the time when he got hit these past few years, it was after he hit a first-inning home run. So I could imagine that happened, and the pitcher wasn't too happy with his blast. But, I don't know. It could have happened. with injuries and everything, it's just taking the risk of playing the game. And these guys are so passionate about the game, they never want to stop. And Acuna.
I just keep thinking of Edwin.
That's what I was about to bring up. That's exactly who I was about to bring up. Edwin Diaz. I mean, that really changed the shape of the Mets season just because he's so dominant. He's such a dominant force, and he was the big reason that Cuba, was it Cuba?
I think so.
Yeah, Cuba advanced in the World Baseball Classic, I believe. And then, of all things, he finished the game. They're celebrating, jumping up and down.
Yeah.
And then he tore his ACL, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, tore his ACL, jumping up and down, celebrating. So you never know what's going to happen. You know, that's a freak accident. But, you know, I do agree. Puerto Rico, my fault. Cuba, Puerto Rico, very, very similar. But yeah, I definitely agree. You know, you're taking a big risk in playing those, especially the World Baseball Classic, even though, you know, they're not going to miss that, you know, especially for their country. But playing in the off-season for their respected country, you know, obviously with Edwin Diaz, you're just going to take the risk of getting hurt and getting, you know, some kind of freak accident happening to you, like similar to what Acuna did. And, you know, I like it because you get some real game action practice. You're not just getting you're not just getting you know, practice with your team. You're getting overseas practice, and some of those guys are a lot different than how we play the game in the United States. So
let me ask you this then. You're a manager for the Braves or for the Orioles or for the Dodgers, and you have your number one all-star player who wants to go play off-season ball for another team overseas. How do you feel about that? Do you have a problem with that player going because of the risk that it could cost your Major League Baseball team a lot of strength and possibly, you know, something even more than that down the road?
I just think as a coach, I would let them make that own decision. I mean, they're grown men. They can make a very wise decision on their own, especially Acuna. He's been through the worst of injuries. I mean, getting hit in the finger, you know, by an inside pitch, you know, that's just a freak accident. You know, he could have been crowding the plate.
He kind of was.
He was probably crowding the plate, just trying to be aggressive, and, you know, that's what happens. But, you know, to put that stamp on it, I just feel like that's the best kind of practice if you're able to do it, just because you're getting that in-game practice and you're going to be that much more prepared for the season. What really baffled me about last year was how great of an athlete Trey Turner is, and he played in the World Baseball Classic, had an insane tournament, and was almost the main reason that we won. Just barely lost to Japan, Shohei Ohtani in Japan. And then to begin the year, actually a good stretch of the year, more than half the year, Trey Turner was just not looking Turner-like, and they kind of blamed, you know, that World Baseball Classic getting all that hype and all that really good playing time in. And then you start the season, and you're like, your emotions and everything swings. Like, okay, now I got to play 162 games, and then if I want to win a championship, I got to play playoffs.
Yep.
So, you know, that's in his head, and I feel like the adrenaline rush and just the overall just excitement of Team USA being even in the finals of that and being able to compete. I feel like his peak was definitely played at one point during that tournament, and I feel like he just kind of calmed down, and that's what happens with some of these athletes. I mean, they have all this adrenaline, they have all this energy for, you know, a few months, especially in a tournament like that in the off season, and then, you know, you get to the actual season where the games actually matter, and, you know, you're playing for a title, and, you know, you have these slumps, and his lasted for a really long time, and he ended up coming back just about the right time at the end of the year.
Well, I want to finish this off, and I know this is going to be a touchy note. I know it's one that we don't want to talk about, but we are going to finish off on this note. Give me your predictions. I want to know your predictions for the NCAA playoffs.
Other than the fact that we should be in.
Well,
let's see. Bama versus Michigan. I'm not going to say it's not going to be a great game. Both games are going to be great games. In my opinion, before I answer that, I really wish that, the idea of 12 next year, they would have made it like 6 or 8 this year, because I feel like 8 different teams this year, in my opinion, had a shot of winning that championship and were championship caliber, in my opinion. I mean, Bo Nix and Oregon, their only 2 losses of the year were to Penix and Washington. Both great games down to the wire every single time, and you can't take anything away from that. I feel like they were still one of the best teams in the country. Obviously Georgia, I still disagree with the fact that people forget 2 years ago Georgia losing the SEC championship to Bama, still making the college playoff, and then winning the college playoff, not Bama. So a lot of different teams, in my opinion, could have went. Ohio State, I can put them in that bubble. Their only loss was to Michigan on the year.
What are you talking like that?
Ohio State,
you're talking about like that.
They were one of the best teams. I can't lie. They were one of the best teams, and they had a very good game against Michigan. Whoever wins that game goes to the college playoffs, in my opinion. They win that game, they're in.
Johnny, Stevens, all you guys, if you guys get a chance to watch this, sorry, Rachel told me that if I talked about Ohio State, I had to dog on you guys and your team. Sorry, that's just how it is.
But predictions, I honestly think, without Florida State in, I felt like Florida State and Michigan had the 2 best teams, but without Florida State and Michigan, I think overcomes against Bama. I think they play a good game. Melrose, obviously Heisman-like, probably top 3 Heisman quarterback on the year. He plays a good game. I just don't see Michigan losing. Mm-hmm. They're so well-rounded defensively, offensively. They can keep Alabama's offense off the field, and I think they could pressure Jalen Milroe a lot. Just like Georgia was. He was having to escape the pocket a lot in that game. And
they'll have to figure out the other team's signs on the fly, though.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw a meme that said they were set on playing us. So they had done a lot of homework on our plays. So once they announced that Bama was playing Michigan, they panicked.
Washington, Texas.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Michigan on that. A close game. I'll give it to them. Close game. I'll say 27-20 on that. And Texas, Washington, I can say since Texas was able to sneak in, I can definitely see them winning that game because of how potent they are offensively. They do have a lot of good athletes, a lot of speed, and a lot of just raw talent. They had over 600 total yards, I think, against Oklahoma State in a conference championship game. So that was impressive. I'll give them that. And that dude Ewers is unbelievable athlete, and he's probably going to go into the draft, but they're really trying to make him stay, just like we did with Travis last year. But yeah, that team, I can definitely see them beating Washington. I'll call an upset there if you want to say it's an upset. 31-28 Texas.
Nice.
I think Penix still has something to say. I think he's going to be obviously a top Heisman quarterback as well. That game's going to go down to the wire, but I'll take Texas.
Well, I want to finish this up, and I don't want to beat a dead horse on this, but to close out our discussion, I just want to bring one last thing up before we finish this. Back to a statistical side of things. Florida State, we're not in, and I don't know what our future looks like. I know, there's transfer portal kids that
play Georgia
that are, looking to come here. Well, seasons to come. Yeah, the Georgia game, it'll be a matter of how many starters each team plays, because I think both teams feel as though it's almost an irrelevant game at this point. But I keep seeing that the College Football Playoff Committee didn't want Florida State to get in because they didn't want another TCU incident in the playoffs. Oh, they don't want Florida State to get TCU'd is what I keep seeing. So here's my problem with that.
Which would have never happened because we had a top defense.
They don't want Florida State to get blown out in the college football playoffs. Mm-hmm. If I may, let me go over just a couple facts before we finish.
Oh, yeah,
the 2023 National Championship, Georgia 65, TCU 7. 2015 Rose Bowl, Oregon 59, Florida State 20. 2015 Cotton Bowl, Alabama 38, Michigan State 0. Shut them out. 2019 Peach Bowl, LSU 63, Oklahoma 28. 2016 Fiesta Bowl, Clemson shuts out Ohio State 31-0. 2019 National Championship, Alabama 44, Clemson 16. 2021 National Championship, Alabama 52, Ohio State 24. 2018 Cotton Bowl, Clemson 30, Notre Dame 3. 2021 Orange Bowl, Georgia 34, Michigan 11. 2015 National Title, Ohio State 42-20 against Oregon. The College Football Playoff Committee acted like it was an absolute cannot happen for a blowout to even be a possibility, and that's why they didn't want Florida State to be in. But it's obvious that blowouts happen. Whether you're a top team or a bottom team, blowouts happen to every team out there. So to hear anything about, oh, they didn't want them in because they didn't feel as though they could contend, they didn't feel as though they could make it without getting blown out, I just don't think that that's fair. I don't think you can go on that.
And
but
it just blows my mind still that these guys on the committee, I mean, they go with numbers and how great these teams are and the best teams. Did they even know how well of a ranked team defensively we are? Like I said at the beginning of this segment, we had three of the highest graded players defensively, not just offensively, defensively in the whole conference championship weekend. Okay, that was like 12 of the best teams, obviously. 12 of the best teams this weekend. We had 3 of the top 10. All right? Only one player on that list was from Texas. Only one player on that list was from Bama. 0 players from Georgia. 1 player from Washington. 2 players from Michigan. Okay? It just blows my mind that they would even think that we would be blown out.
Yeah.
I mean, even though our offense, maybe we have a bad offensive game, our defense is going to keep us in the game just like it has done the last 2 weeks when we prevailed with a backup quarterback. So anything can happen, especially in this playoff, and it's going to hurt for a long time. I mentioned that earlier as well. This one's going to sting for a long, long time.
That's our new motto at Florida State. If you can't beat us, then cheat us. That's the only way you can.
Beat us and cheat us.
That's how it is. Well, before we finish up,
That's what it is.
We gotta have these bad
more
boys.
Down the hatch.
One more. Yeah, gotta get one more. Gotta put a number on these things, bro. Gotta put a number on them. Here you go.
One more down the hatch. I'm gonna catch it this time.
There it is. All right. Lindor Swiss Chocolatier milk chocolate truffles. I'm gonna say
Lindor.
they like legit melt in your mouth. I'll see why they're expensive, because they're super good.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, most definitely. I love chocolate. I know not everybody does. From a guy who loves chocolate, I'm talking like an 8.5 on these, man. That's good.
For sure. I think the only thing that would hit better is caramel on the inside. I'd probably make it a 10.
What do you think about the chocolate ones?
Probably stick with the 8.5 you had. Probably around 8.5.
Nice
That's
round
that's
number.
A solid number. I mean, it's very delicious. Though. Like I said earlier, I'll definitely dog the whole bag if I have the opportunity. I just got to stop myself.
Oh, I guarantee you, if I open that at the beginning of a football game, there will be nothing left.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of it, dude. It'd be dumb.
Just getting hyped the whole time, eating one after every big play.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening at home.
Sir, thank you.
You know, first podcast, I feel like this was a good success. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I'm glad
Good
you came out
opportunity.
here. Donnie, thank you so much for being on.
Sure.
Thanks for doing this. I know we're going to have you back out here before too long.
Sir.
Let's see. Closing this thing out, anybody that watches this, like and subscribe for more content. We're putting this on every week. Every Tuesday we're getting this thing going. We're shooting for hopefully 9 o'clock Eastern time Tuesday nights. We may be a little bit late firing this one off online, but we'll have a link on our YouTube channel for our Facebook page and any other social media that we may have. And just remember, youtube.com. We are Sportsbites.
Sportsbites.
the self-proclaimed #1 podcast, bringing you hot takes on both sports and snacks. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Donnie, thanks again.
You're welcome.
And
Great experience.
everybody have a great night.
Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag. Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag.